what if I told you you literally could be losing 50% of your signal going out your antenna? You're running a 100-watt radio, but you may only be getting out 50 watts or something like that. It's a real simple thing that a lot of people, as far as communicators, overlook, and it's a real simple thing to fix. So I want to deep dive in that today in this video and help you understand what you can do to get the most efficiency and get effective. Worst thing is if you're in a disaster and you're trying to get communications out, you've done all this work, you bought the nice antenna, you bought the high-end radios, 100-watt radio, and come to find out you may be only getting 50 watts to your antenna. So stick with me in this video. I want to break it down. I want to see if I can simplify some of the math and the confusion. You know, when I first started as a ham, you know, I just had whatever coax I could afford at the time. And a lot of times that was just this real skinny stuff. Then I'd heard the Elmers talk about upgrading that and getting bigger coax. And the way I think of it is like a water pipe. The bigger the water pipe, the more pressure you have going through it. If you get a smaller water pipe, maybe it's a thicker wall or something like that, it's not as allowing as much pressure and as much water going through it. So I've always, in my mind, I've related it and used that analogy. The bigger the pipe, the more fluid you can get through it. You know, the same thing, you know, holds true with our coaxes. And not only that, but the shielding that's inside of it. If you've ever opened up one of these, you know, you have a copper braid a lot of times, and then you have a center conductor. And then you throw in that, you know, the types of connectors. Some of these cheaper connectors, you know, have a lot more resistance. So, and I usually describe it like the more connectors and more attachments you have on that water pipe, the water line, the less pressure you're going to have at the end. The same holds true with RF. The more splitters, the more joints, the, you know, different things, the lightning arresters and stuff like that. Not saying not to use them, I'm just saying the more things you have in line, the less that signal gets there. And today, I'm out here in the park, and I want to talk about a new product that is out. And I kind of want to help maybe try to spread some light on this to help us understand that literally there's been some coax I've probably used in the past that I've lost 50% of my signal in the coax, in the cable itself. So if I'm trying to do a 100-watt HF connection with somebody, you know, I'm sending 100 watts out of the back of the radio. By the time it hits the antenna, it could be losing, you know, 50% of that or more, depending on the quality. So I want to help you find out. I brought the iPad out. We're recording the screen there. And I want you to see some of the calculators that are out there, some of the different ways to find out, you know, if you're using good coax or bad. And then I want to give you an example of something that's really good that came in. So let's jump over here to the iPad. And the very first thing I've done is I've gone to just Google coax loss calculator. Right there, coax loss calculator. And I just came to the very first one. I don't know a whole lot about this person, but it's a pretty nice looking little calculator. So let's just say we have some RG58U. You know, there's different brands here, and you may not. Let's look at, you know, LMR 400. That's a very popular one that's out there. Just kind of looking here at some of the others that are out there. So let's say we have some RG. And see, they've got different forms of it too. RG8X is some of the bigger ones. So, and we're running at 100 foot, and let's say it's at 20 meters, 14 megahertz there, and you know, a typical 1.5, and I'm running 100 watts. So let's hit the calculator. So with that, it's got a pretty good 0.709 dB of loss. So you're getting 84 watts out. So that's not bad, 15%. You know, let's look at some of the RG58, maybe some of the smaller stuff. So that's 1.4 dB. So you're getting 72 watts out. But let's change the frequency from 14 megahertz to, that's 20 meters. Let's do 2 meters. A lot of us are running up there. So, you know, you've got 4 dB of loss, 4.8, almost 5. So you're only getting 33 watts out. So let's put this in more practical. Maybe you've got your HT, your Baofeng hooked up to it. You know, you're only really putting out 1.655 watts out the antenna. Now, every 3 dB of loss is half of the power. So I want to say that again. Every 3 dB of loss is half the power. Now, you can make up that if you have a 6 dB gain antenna. So every 3 dB is half. In this case, we're going upward. So if it's a 6 dB gain antenna, so, and I'm putting out, let's say, I'm just going to round it up to 2 watts just to make this math easier using this equation here. And there's actually, if you go on down, there's actually antenna length, actual line length, power in 5 watts, antenna gain. So let's try it and see what it does. 6 dB, let's say 100 feet. We'll use the same calculations. So now my effective radiated power is 6 watts because every 3 dB, in this case, doubles. So we're approximating it up. So it's going to quadruple it. So 2, 4, 6. So 6 watts out. That's if you have a high gain antenna. Now, if you're on HF or something like that, you know, a lot of our antennas don't offer a whole lot of gains unless you're running those big, like 3-element beams or something like that, or something like a hex beam or something like that. That gives you a little bit of gain. But still, the goal is to get as much power to that antenna so that you don't have loss. So what do we do about that? So ideally, you're going to buy the best coax your money can afford. LMR 600, LMR, you know, the 400, but that gets really expensive. When you look at repeaters, they don't use even LMR 400 stuff. They're using hardline, what we call hardline, and it's usually really big. They got 7/8, they got 2-inch hardline, but you're talking, you know, I don't know. I've not even looked at. I think I've heard a guy say it one time. It's like, you know, upward $6 a foot, or you know, could be really crazy like that. But especially like if you're out running QRP, like I do a lot when I'm out doing POTA and Parks on the Air, you know, I'm running 10 watts maybe. So I'm really excited to try this out and check it. So I had Messi and Paoloni talk to them, and they're actually sponsoring this video. And by that I meant they sent me this coax for free. This is that new Flex 7 that they offer. It's quite a bit smaller because when you're out in the field and you're doing field communications, lightweight, portable, you know, high quality, something that's going to hold. And then even this, what they're offering on their new system is this green. It's a matte finish green, and it's going to hide really good in the field if you're needing a camouflage. They talk a little bit about how some of the military's using this out, especially over in Ukraine. And they use the example of drones flying over with RF detection. So you may want to deploy your antenna, you know, 50 to 100 foot out, and let that RF sensing drone find your antenna, but you're camouflaged over in a bush somewhere hiding. And worst case scenario, it's going to take the antenna out, but at least you still have a chance of protecting yourself. Most of us aren't going to be dealing with that. So what I really wanted to focus on was the loss and the connectors. I mean, these have some super nice tight connectors compared to these ones you get real cheap on Amazon. These are some old school type here that's soldered and all that. But their connectors are just phenomenal. They've got it shielded really good. And I haven't put it all together yet, but they even bring a reel that you can quick deploy because time is important on that. And as you can see, it's got the 83%, 144 wires of copper clad, another 144 in the second braid. It's light and flexible, very, very flexible, and it also has the coil. Now, the reason all this braiding like that and the shielding is important is that actually helps keeps the noise down also on your signal, on your reception. We can actually pick up noise off our coax. You're laying down on the ground, you can pick up different atmospheric noises, or you might even get interference from buildings and stuff around you. So that's very important to have that. And you can see the inner conductor. It's a braided conductor. And you generally want, now they do have some higher stuff like for more permanent installation, some higher rated ones. But like a solid cord, you'd want that if you're not out trying to flex it and deploy it out in the field. So solid core maybe for something like that. But check this out. They've got military PVC jacket on there, military green. Now here's your dB of attenuation. Something to know that this 1.8, that's 160 meter, you're going to have less loss down there than you will up here at like microwave and stuff. So the loss is much higher on VHF, UHF, SHF, and satellite and stuff. So that's a key to know. If you're focusing on VHF, UHF, you're going to want the highest, let's say the highest gain, lowest loss possible on a coax. HF, you can get away with it a little easier because it's not as much loss on the high frequencies as it is the higher frequencies, very high frequencies. So here's what they're rating, and I'm doing that same 100 foot. They got it over here on meters, but let's look at the 100 foot. So 20 meters, they're saying 0.6 dB loss on 20 meters for 100 foot. So that's really good. 2 meters, we was looking at that, 2.1. So I'm not losing the half of my power on VHF. Now I will say, I'm going to reiterate, this is cable I'm going to probably mainly use for HF. If I was focusing on VHF, UHF, I would probably step up, and let's switch over here to their website. So this is the kit they sent me here, the Flex 7 tactical kit. And you can see a lot of the specs there on that, some what all comes with it. It does have the Evolution PL259 connectors pre-assembled, Flex 7 coax cable. You can get them different length, and the silicone seals, reusable adhesive, and then also the tactical reel. So a lot of options there. All right, so they do have other types of coax too, especially if you're trying to do like a home installation or something like that. Let's just see what else they got. You can create your own, but they do have the products page, different types of coax, and let's see what they've got under 50 ohms. But just to give you an idea, as that's loading, I'm out here in the field, so it's not the best coverage. They have Ultraflex, HF, standard cable sets. There's your PotaFlex, and they have different colors too of these cables. You can get the real kit and everything like that for the Pota. And it's still using the Flex 7. The only difference is it's yellow, so instead of the green carrying case, the green reel, it's doing a little more high visibility and stuff. So. But I tell you what, I went ahead and told them I wanted the green just to check out, just in case I'm ever in a situation I need to be setting up like that. So I was really interested in who else is using Messi and Paoloni. I forget social media, forget all that. I started looking at who's using it. So I did a little bit of research, and I'm a big fan of DXpeditions. I've never gone on one, but I like chasing them. It's kind of like POTA, but they're out, instead of in a park or something, they're actually taking ships and helicopters out to remote, desolate islands, and they're setting up, portable stations out in the middle of nowhere in these hard to reach places. And there's been several other DXpeditions that use it. The quality is there even for those guys and gals when they're out, and there's no field repair shops around there or anything like that on these islands. So they're looking for the ultimate best. Top of the line, something that's dependable. And I tell you, these connectors, I'm not used to seeing anything that's like that. There's some videos on their website. What I want you to do is go check out their website. I'll have a link to it down here in the description. I warn you, you go on a rabbit dive, a deep dive. I started studying this to realize how easy it is to get 3 dB of loss going to your antenna on something like this. I got to go through all my coax now and check it out. 3 dB, remember, 3 dB, you're losing half of your signal. And it's not hard to get 6 dB on some of this, cheaper quality cable. I've always said the propagation is 85% of the signal. Antenna, 15%, and radio is 5%. We spend so much money on these nice radios, several $1,000s on some of them. We try to get the best thing out. And I'm guilty, because in all my old videos, that was it. That was my formula. I'm now going to rework that formula and try to figure out exactly the percentage that coax plays in that role. And it's definitely really high. So propagation, I'm not going to do it now, but let's say 80%. I'm putting cable now as next, coax next, because it's something we can afford easier, and that's one of the cheaper things to fix in that signal chain. So good high quality cable. I'm not losing 3 dB, 6 dB going out the cable, especially if I'm running over 100 foot. I'm going to try to spend the best quality I can. And then the next thing, I'm going to try to get an antenna that offers some kind of gain. That's easy to do on VHF, UHF, because we can get like little beams that, my little 3-element Yagi that I carry with me on UHF. UHF, that loss is super high. So I'm definitely going to be using the Flex on something like that, Messi and Paoloni, and get that lower loss, the better quality, and that'll help with that. I think that thing's got like, what, 3 to 4 dB, 6 dB of gain on that. So any loss I've got there is minimal on the coax, and then I'm also making it up with the antenna. Another area like HF, if you can get a 2 or 3 element beam, you're going to have some gain over like a dipole. So that'll even help with those, but your losses are less on HF. Less loss on HF, higher loss on VHF, UHF as you keep going up to microwave. So, for example, Meshtastic, with my 900 megahertz, when I put it on my Tahoe, I tried to run that coax as short as possible. You don't want any kind of length on that. If you have a relay outside on a tower, keep the coax really short. I try not to go over 6 foot, use high quality cable. So. But anyways, I really appreciate Messi and Paoloni sending me out with this. I can't wait to get on the air with it. You're going to start seeing this in other videos. And it comes with some good wire ties and wraps. I may or may not use this. I see this more as tactical. I'm definitely going to keep it in the shack. But shoot, it makes so nice to deploy it. And they sent this nice bag to put it all in. So this, and you get these in they have different colors on this. But that whole reel, once everything's put in, just deploys in here now. With POTA and stuff, when I do a lot of my remote activations, it's not uncommon to get dirt and debris and stuff like that on your coax. So never fails, I throw it in my backpack and it gets dirty. So this reel is gonna deploy and set inside this. And if I do have some sand or dirt on it, at least it's going to be inside this bag. It's not messing up the car or anything like that. And honestly, you can reel this in within a minute. So you'll have something like that when it's done. So use the link down below, go to their website, check them out. Anything you want to order, if you use my discount code of COMMS, C-O-M-M-S, you'll get a 10% discount. Now, you may be saying, oh, they're Italy, they're big over there. I had it here in less than a week, so awesome shipping. It was very fast. I want to say it was like 3 or 4 days from the time I got the order placed and everything. So I had no concern, and listening to some of the other guys online, same thing, real quick shipping, no concern there at all. And go check it out. You're going to be happy with it. And not only that, but go read your spec sheet. Start looking at that. Don't get scared by the formulas, because those formulas will help us. But it's just remember that 3 dB. If it's a 100-watt radio, you have 3 dB of loss. You're putting out 50 watts. 100-watt radio, you have a 3 dB gain antenna. You're putting out 150 watts. So just use that formula. Look up those spec sheets. Use the calculators. If your coax isn't listed on that website or any of those calculators, you can search your manufacturer's website and see if you can find the spec sheets on there. Just want to show you what that looks like rolled out anyways. I definitely like the fact that it doesn't have the gloss on it and stuff. It's more of a matte finish. We'll get it out when the grass is green. But deploys really nice. So I'll go ahead and put it on. Go ahead and put it on the reel. So you can see here on the reel, you got a place to clip that coax right underneath there. And then you have a place to secure it right here. So for the first time, it's been wrapped up in memory, but I'll work on cleaning that up a little bit. This is an example of what I'm saying about the coax getting dirty and stuff, all that grass sticking to it. But now I stick it in this case. And there's also some pockets inside this case. You could run some adapters and stuff if you needed to. So, a little pocket on the outside and everything too. So, and they also sent me a BNC to PL259 adapter. So it's a lot higher quality. And a lot of that's in that insulator that's on the inside. So we'll put that in there with it.